If this watch was Swiss made, it would cost you over $3,000, but because it's made by a micro brand using a Japanese movement, it will cost you less than $500. So what's the difference and why is this watch so much cheaper? Hello there, my name's Kieran, welcome to Top Tier Ticker, I hope you're having a good day. Today I have something a bit different for you in the form of a rarely seen complication, at least in a watch at this price point. Some may see the bicompax layout and pusher at the 2 o'clock and assume that this is some sort of chronograph. Well then you'd be very wrong. This watch features a triple mechanical calendar complication. Indeed, we have a day of the week, the date of the month, and the month of the year all independently displayed on the dial. This is something that you simply do not see in a watch under $500, especially using a mechanical movement like this. And the only other micro brand that I've seen using this movement, at least micro brand worth buying, is Kuo with their Royal Smith 9010. However, that model is $859. So this one that uses the exact same movement is exactly half its price. So if you want a mechanical calendar for your collection, this is one of the most affordable ways to do it. And if you wanted to go Swiss for your mechanical calendar, you'd be looking at Tudor money. The most affordable I could find is the Longines Master Collection at over $3,000. And that's the cheapest. So who is this micro brand and how have they managed to do this? Well, this is the new Urban Automatic by micro brand Undone. I do get to keep this watch after the review, but as usual, all views are mine only. And this watch was an instant yes as soon as they asked me to review it, simply because of the great value on offer here with that complication. Some might instantly notice the lack of branding beneath the 12 o'clock double index, so this watch has what we call a sterile dial. The actual branding on the watch has been moved beneath the 6 o'clock index, where you'd typically see the Swiss made stamp. So this watch offers a somewhat unusual look with the lack of branding, but then a somewhat normal look with the colours and the layout. But this watch just isn't all about this complication. Yes, it's a big part of why this piece is so compelling here, but the other aspects to the watch haven't been neglected. The dial is still packed with details, the specifications here are top tier, and the watch is a great size that I think will work for a lot of people. Now firstly, this dial is gorgeous. It features a vertically brushed finish that almost has a metallic effect. The two subdials are slightly sunken back, which feature a contrasting grained silver finish, and the outer dial echoes that of the subdials, with a grained texture and prominent black markings. The indexes here are applied with a brushed finish matching the fence post handset, and there's a perfectly colour matched date window at the 6 o'clock, which almost disappears into the dial because it blends in that well, with the colour red being used as the time telling colour throughout the watch. On the left we have the day of the week indicator with a red hand, on the right we have a month of the year indicator with a double-sided pointer, and then the red text on the date wheel indicating the date of the month. This dial looks incredibly premium and is somehow packed with detail without overwhelming the timekeeping possibilities. Now this dial looks so good, partially down to this incredible piece of sapphire glass. It features a vintage style top hat construction with a slight dome, offering a ton of distortion around the outer dial. Now Undone doesn't tell us how much anti-reflective treatment they've used on this crystal, but it's definitely enough here. Highly domed sapphires like this usually feature tons of reflections, but this one doesn't. These crystals are not cheap, and boy can you tell because it makes this dial look $1,000,000. That vintage styling is absolutely continued with the rest of the watch. The silhouette here is vintage Hoya chronograph through and through, with those sharp lugs and super thin bezel. The side profile reveals a fairly flat construction, at least that's the illusion because the lugs are so straight. In terms of finishing, there's a panel that runs from lug to lug that features a vertical brush, with the rest of the watch pretty much polished. The finishing here is okay, it's not the best I've seen. You'd expect some corners to be cut with this price point anyway. Now flipping the watch over reveals a display case back, with a spec sheet laser etched on the outer. That spec sheet also reveals this watch's 100-meter water resistance rating, which did surprise me considering that this crown is only push-pull and we do have an extra point of entry with that pusher. No custom rotor here, just a standard one that comes with the Miyota 9122. This movement is from the Miyota 9000 series family, so you can expect the usual spec and reliability. High beat rate with a 40-hour power reserve, and you can also expect an accuracy of -10 to +30 seconds per day. Typically watches with a Miyota 9000 series movement are thinner than the competition, but unfortunately not here. here. Now, Undone has this watch listed at 12.7mm thick on their website, but I don't get that measurement on my calipers. This watch comes in at 13.8mm in thickness, over 1mm more than they said on their website. Now, a lot of that is down to the highly domed sapphire, and the watch does wear well for it, so it's not really a big issue for me. But Undone should definitely be measuring these and putting the correct measurement on their website. The case diameter here is 40mm and the lug to lug is 47.8mm. I'd say this watch does wear true to size because of those longer lugs and the flatness of them. It fits my 6.5-inch wrist well, but smaller wrists might become a struggle. The supplied strap here is actually one of the best I've had on a watch. The finishing to the strap somehow matches the dial. It features a heavily textured brushed finish. It also tapers from 20mm at the lugs to just 15.5mm at the buckle, so it has that sophisticated look to it. Quality here is really high and I can see this strap lasting for a long time. One thing to note here though, I'm on the smallest hole, so it won't fit wrists below 6.5 inches. But given this watch's neutral colour scheme, this is a piece that will be a strap monster. NATO straps, leather straps, rubber straps, whatever you want. But let's talk about one area of this watch that is absolutely terrible. The loom on this piece is like a torch with 30-year-old batteries inside. It not only has a poor showing when blasted with UV, but only lasts a handful of seconds. I can't relate to that, I'm afraid. Now, this is a dressier watch, so loom isn't a necessity here, but if you're going to try, at least give it a few layers. The loom is probably the biggest letdown when it comes to this watch for me. So what is this extra pusher at the 2 o'clock for then? Well, when pressed in, it advances the month by 1. Basically, so you don't have to cycle through 31 days or maybe more when you need to set the month. A light press doesn't do anything here, so I doubt you'll be knocking it by accident too often, but that is an issue to consider with having a pusher here. And if the month is off, it's extremely quick to get it back on track by just pressing the button. Also, the pusher actually makes for an excellent fidget toy. I often find myself pressing it and cycling through the months when I'm a little bit bored, but this movement does automatically change over to the next month when the 31st is over. Note that this isn't an annual calendar or a perpetual calendar, so you will have to change these readings when the month has less than 31 days. But here are the main negatives to consider with this watch. The loom here is piss poor, some of the weakest I've ever seen. The supplied strap won't fit a wrist size below 6.5 inches, and the finishing here isn't amazing, it's just okay. So what's the price? We did quickly gloss over it at the start of the video, but this watch is coming in at $430. The movement alone costs over $100, and this sapphire glass isn't a cheap part either. The value on offer here is incredible. Even AliExpress watches aren't managing to make a watch using this movement for super cheap, with most of them coming in at around $350. So it really is quite impressive that you get a watch as good as this using this movement for this sort of price. Now, there is a second version of this watch if the reverse panda isn't to your taste, which features a cream dial. And to be honest, I think both versions here are killer. The cream dial version is definitely the dressier of the two, with the reverse panda giving that vintage chronograph vibe. Either way, you are getting a killer watch here. You'll of course find the link to check out this Urban Automatic below, a watch that is a brilliant addition to any affordable collection. A mechanical calendar is extremely special at this price point. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one, guys. Bye for now.